You see my working Paperboy back here?
Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
I was watching some TikToks of this guy that was fixing a Paperboy.
Yeah, I got really popular doing that.
I saw some quarters stuck in the steering wheel.
There were, yeah, I still have those. Somewhere around here. I have the Paperboy springs that I need to put.
Wait, they're not in there?
I mean, it has some, but they're all wore out, and it just, you know, it's kind of lamely jerks back. Is that the term? I don't know.
Jerks back? That sounds gross.
It doesn't jerk back fast enough, man.
Hey, Grinwing.
What? Oh, yeah. Hi, Grinwing. Oh, man. How do I... Every day, it's a pop up the chat.
We got this dude going to be on the show. He's going to be good.
It is. He's nice.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
He's a little bit macabre now and again, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. I'm into that, I think. Pop out chat. Bam. All right.
Pop out chat. I was going to ask one of our guests about this dealy bob.
What's that? It looks like a... I don't know what that is.
Do you know what that is?
Can you sit on it?
It's Dealy Bob.
You cannot sit on it.
No?
Well, you can sit on it.
But then you'll end up in the ER having someone like Brian extract it from your anus.
Oh.
I don't do poop.
Hi.
No poop.
I need a haircut, so I'm wearing a baseball cap today.
Look,
Oh.
no beard.
It's amazingly clean shaven. What did you do wrong?
Well, I put on the mask the other day at the hospital, and I looked like a freaking Ewok.
Oh.
So I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
this
so
has
you
to
look
change.
like Brian Jones.
Yeah. He was in the middle of the Atlantic somewhere.
I thought he's done with that trip.
Is he on a boat?
He's on his way home. He's on one of the Disney cruises.
Oh, I've
Or
always wanted
so
to try
he
that.
says.
Mhm.
Well, I think he's working it.
Oh, that'd be pretty wild.
I'm classing it up with a little wine tonight.
Has anybody here been on a... Well, I like that wine. On a cruise at all?
Nope.
We just scheduled a cruise for October.
Your first cruise ever?
Well, I went on like a BS one of those like, hey, if you do this, then you get a free cruise. That was terrible.
Oh.
It was
what,
like
you had to listen to a spiel or something, and then they let you on a cruise?
it was like right when I got out of college, and it was the ship was terrible. Like it was.
Was it like a booze cruise ship, like that bad, or you know?
It was kind of like the motel of cruises, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
You're just like, so what am I doing here? Is this bathroom like? Is this? Can I hold it till we get there?
You have the motel of cruises. So you were basically on the 1970s Love Boat.
I wouldn't even go that far. It wasn't even that nice.
Yeah, that does sound fancy.
So, but what we're going on in October is the Kiss Cruise.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, do you have to kiss a bunch of people, or is the band Kiss going to be there? I mean,
It is the band Kiss.
okay.
I like the Kiss Cruise
Gene-
without the band idea.
Gene
better.
Simmons loves to make money. He's a businessman.
Well, we get to see Talkin perform with George Lynch.
Right. And
So-
who from Kiss will be there?
Bruce Kulick will be there.
Okay.
Warren's going to be there. Obviously not. It's kind of funny they have like George Lynch will be there with Talkin, and George Lynch will be there with just George Lynch.
Warren.
The second week was a little bit. We ended up on the first week. The second week had Black Label Society, Buck Cherry, Sebastian Bach. That would have been a neat one, but it'll be fun.
Nice.
I like how Brian describes a metal show as a neat one.
That'll be a blast.
That sounds like a fun group.
Lynch Mob is like standard fare at our house, Grinwing. So, yeah, actually, the other fun thing is that Susan knows Bruce Kulick, who's one of the guys performing there. So it'll be a lot of fun. That'll be interesting.
Nice.
She's known him forever, and what's funny is they've now discovered they both love Depression era glass. So Susan,
fabulous.
this guy, and his wife are all in these chats about their glass they're collecting. It's hilarious.
Man.
hilarious.
The only person that's famous my wife knows is John Voight, and I don't want to hang out with him. So.
John Voight.
Yeah. I was telling her if she and John Voight were gonna if she was gonna break up with me and marry John Voight so she could be Angelina Jolie's stepmom, that'd have been awesome. I would have okayed that. Before, I guess I knew he was kind of kooky, but whatever.
So this will be the first cruise that we're gonna go on. I'm kind of excited.
Huh.
All right. Well, cheers to you in October. On Halloween or anything, you know?
The 24th to the 29th.
Just in time. Well, I'll be sure to schedule a show that night. So.
Well, my mother's 75th birthday is the 23rd.
Oh my.
So she flies out to Minnesota to watch my son for the week, and we get to take her out to dinner. It's an action-filled week.
Action. Bring the action.
I just saw, by chance, that Canyon Bomber is emulated on Mister.
Ah.
That's kind of cool.
I have mail time for my what you've been working on. I'm excited.
Is it emulated or is there a core for it?
There's an FPGA core.
Whoa.
Nice.
I mean, this is what's kind of crazy. You have all of these different. You've got, people throwing, doing code on these micros like Jason has been doing with Red Zone and the what do you call it? You make race boards where they're using like 32U4s or small ARM chips and they're emulating this stuff. You have FPGA cores that are supposed to emulate the hardware and play more accurately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now you're starting to get some stuff like, you're getting these kind of like add-on boards. To me, it's kind of a spectrum of things. You've got like the new DK all-in-one kit, which adds so much processor alternatives and things to the DK boards that it allows you to play all the DKs on one board. Like what? How are we?
But that's not. We had this discussion last show.
But like where are the lines of like multis anymore? Like are FPGAs okay, not okay? Are the micros okay, not okay?
What do you mean? What do you mean okay, not okay?
I don't know. It's just kind of funny. They're like taking over.
But who cares? Let's get people involved. That's all that matters. Do what you want to do. I'm not gonna buy anything. Like I've already done the emulation through MAME, right? So I've got one machine that does that. I also have FPGA. Part of it's just for me is just the tinkering part. But like if you're a diehard, like I don't want anything that's not I don't want anything that's emulated. I don't want to emulate anything. I don't want to buy anything or sell anything that's emulated. Then don't.
True.
Just don't.
So they're starting to play some of the fighting game tournaments on Mister, like Vampire Savior.
Yeah, well.
And is it? Is the consensus that it's an excellent,
and so that's one of the interesting things is that who decides that?
Can't you just, yeah, that's true.
Well, here's how that happens.
The high score.
I can't have a candy cab in my house because I don't have enough room, or in my apartment. God.
You could put a little pink one, the little teeny baby ones.
Like I'm gonna get the FPGA so I can do as close as the thing is real as possible, and then I'm gonna show up with a bunch of other guys that don't have a lot of money and can't buy candy cabs and can't put them in their houses. So they've been practicing on an FPGA. So then that would be like the impetus to let's have an FPGA tournament because then we can just all,
Yeah,
compete.
but that has nothing to do with a candy cab though.
I'm just saying.
Because you're still plugging an FPGA.
They don't have to have an arcade cabinet to play the game at home.
Right, but most of the fighting game tournament guys don't. They have super guns they run them on.
Okay, it doesn't matter. My point is, you don't want this big thing. So you have an FPGA.
You still run the FPGA on a CRT on an arcade super gun.
Or you run it on a TV.
The lag is too much. They won't do it.
On a CRT?
No, on a TV. So on a CRT TV, you can do the adapters for the output, but most of the output from the Mister is HDMI. So a lot of them will run it into the RGB to get true like analog signal out.
Sure.
And they're pretty adamant about that. I mean, they get down to like getting upset if the digital outputs have more than like a 2 millisecond lag.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy what they go to. But it's, I mean, I hear your point, but that's one of the things like it's kind of interesting looking at this stuff. When you look at the Mister, like, it's a bunch of guys developing it, which is awesome. But the other side of it is how do you know it's done well? I mean, I certainly don't, because I suck at all these games. So, I mean, having me judge it is, a terrible idea.
I think you would need to create an automation of the gameplay and do them side by side, and then see if you can have any discernible differences.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the, I'm curious about it. So.
Or you find the champion who's, the best at it, knows everything from end to end, like with Slither, Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of a, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's funny to me how many of these things are showing up now in like in different formats, and now that you got the Pi Zeros coming in, and at this point now with the chip shortage, people are programming on anything they get their hands on.
Right. The chip shortage, it's crazy.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Is there still a wood shortage? Just double checking. Anybody? No.
That goes up and down by the week.
Are you building anything that needs wood?
Maybe.
All right, we got a lot of show to get through before our guest gets here, so let's.
All right, let's whip it.
Going. 500 cabinets.
Live from KOYR Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
That wine looks delicious. Is that a Merlot? What are you doing? Oh, we started to. I don't hear any music. Is it playing?
There's no music.
I know, I don't hear it. Let's see if it's over there. It's on the channel, so it's okay.
I can't hear the channel either.
Yeah. Well, I muted my co-hosts eventually so that they would stop talking through it. But, they figured out it eventually. That's just how they are. They'll figure it out. So, yeah. Hey, guess what? We have a show today. It's good to have you guys here. So thanks for listening in from the Arcadosphere. This is Season 6, Episode 16 of the Arcade Radio Podcast. Today is Thursday, June 16th, 2022, and the time is now approximately 7:30ish, and I'm your host, Adam Beeblebrox. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark Prefect Shields, and last and least, Paradise Arcade chip proprietor and part-time galactic overlord, it's Brian Thurston Howell Armitage the 42nd. I see some sort of Douglas Adams theme here.
Yes.
So, and joining us tonight, he's held the record for the most number of years working at Atari. He was a QA engineer he's called a final QA engineer, and also a component engineer, and then eventually worked in IT. He's had many hats, many bosses, and his career goes all the way back to Pong. Jeff Bell joins us tonight at the top of the hour. So,
all right.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Somebody sat on the board. Whew, that was a loud cue, too. Whoa, holy moly. That was a loud cue. I'm going to have to work on those. Sometimes they just don't work the way you want them to. I'd say we just jump right into gadgets. Oh, wait. What have you been working on, Mark?
Oh, so I finally got my Paperboy up. This is PCB board set number 2.5, I guess. I bought a video board. It came with, the the CPU and a video board. It was working great. I let it run for a burn-in for about 20 minutes, and then it totally died. And it wouldn't boot up. And then I bought a video board. That actually got the game going again, but it had no sync. I've replaced everything as far as I can find for the clock, the chips, anything in the path. It still didn't have sync. So somebody on Facebook sold a working Paperboy board set, both CPU and video, for $500. I went and I said, fine, let's just do this. I put in only the video board, and the whole thing is now back 100%. So I have a fully working CPU Paperboy board. I have a dead video board, and then I have a non-syncing video board, like that in a box over to the side. I think I'm gonna sell those and then try to play my. What's that?
Recoup a little.
Recoup a little, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's great because the game's been down so much; it's been so annoying. And then the only other thing is that I have some stuff I bought in the mail. I'm going to open it up right now. I'll do it quickly. It's right here. Right here. So we're going to just take a quick peek inside. I may be able to open this without the knife. This was mailed. Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
There you go.
I'm excited, okay? I don't know what's in here.
Hey, Brian, are you on call today?
What the hell? There's Laffy Taffy in here. Is this?
Oh, nice.
What's happening? There's so much Laffy Taffy. This is very strange. I did not order Laffy Taffy. No, and there's a Payday in here as well.
Who did they come from?
And Tic Tacs. What the freak? And I think a beef jerky.
Where did they come from?
Well, it came from the city is Missouri, Ohio. Missouri, Ohio. Let's see what it is. Is there anything in this? No? Okay, good. Here it is. Opening slowly. Come on. We're almost there. Oh, shit. Okay, there it is. What do you think?
Is that a red zone board?
It is.
Okay. Tell the listeners what that is.
So Jason Kopp has put this out. It plays Battlezone, it plays Red Baron, and it plays Battlezone 2 as well.
That's cool.
That's pretty awesome. And I guess it's using, is it an ARM? It's emulated? Is that what's
well, are the ROMs on it? Do you just plug it in and go, or?
I don't know. There does appear to be an SD slot. So hopefully, if it's not on the ground here, I will find out.
Yeah, he'd get into trouble if he was distributing ROMs. So.
Yeah, there's an empty SD slot in here for sure. So I think that has to be something I have to go do.
Yeah, but it doesn't have fire truck, as F1C points out. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian's taking a call. So I'll talk about what I've been working on, which is nothing. I did buy a Nintendo Switch on Saturday.
Oh, very nice.
The OLED version, and I got a few games for that. So I'm pretty excited about that. I also have, I believe, completed my Wii collection this last weekend. All my Wii controllers from Japan showed up. So I have all these fancy controllers. We did a bit of Wii bowling. We did a bit of Switch Sports to compare the two. And we played Super Strike.
Oh, I love it.
So we tried all three bowling games. They're all unique in their own way. Obviously, the Wii bowling and the Switch bowling are close to one another. Switch blowing. That's a different game. Switch blowing.
What?
Yeah. Switch bowling.
Switch blowing.
Blowing.
FP18 though.
Yeah. That is a different. Yeah. So Super Strike bowling, not Silver Strike bowling. I don't know how many times we've talked about on this show, Chris, but it's Super Strike. Strike. Yeah, because that's best. And there's Stratus Bowl, which is also a derivative of that. Silver Strike, I think, is also made by IT, and Capcom Bowl is also made by Incredible Technologies. So, yeah. So, anyone feel like blocking Jabaruga for the night because I'm kind of getting there. So,
oh, it says it also plays a Mega Race.
What? Oh, that's cool. I have a dog in here, by the way, in case you can't hear it. Brian, are you back with us?
Brian Ano? I see him moving. He's muted still from before.
I don't.
You can't unmute him, can you?
No, he has to unmute himself.
Brian, unmute yourself.
He must be talking to somebody else on a speaker.
Maybe he's ordering a pizza. Hold on, let's see what he's saying.
Let's see.
Hey, what's up? I just took my pants off and I.
He knows he's muted. Okay, so I guess we'll start with the news segment then, huh?
Yeah.
All right, we like the news.
Arcade news, arcades, pinball, industry alumni, arcade openings, selecting, celebrities, world record holders, operators, coin-out, conventions, the arcade news.
We interrupt the ventilated electric.
And now, the arcade news with
Adam Stevens.
Okay, well, you're going to have to tell me what I need to do here because I'm not really sure. Do I play it now or at the end?
I'll play it at the end, why not?
Okay. So this is from Polygon.com. Atari Mania looks like a WarioWare mashup of early console classics.
Nice.
Breakout meets Centipede meets Adventure. I'm already hooked. It sounds awesome. So Atari has made some dubious attempts to capitalize on its console gaming legacy over the past decade or so. Some might say in the past 3 years. But
yeah,
Atari
no doubt.
Mania,
or the last few weeks.
Yeah, but Atari Mania doesn't appear to be one of them. Announced today, the Windows PC game is a collection of mini games that mash up staples of the Atari 2600 library.
Yeah.
All in the name of historical preservation.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to turn off that music.
I liked it.
You liked it?
It's magical.
It is magical. So in the announcement trailer, which I'm about to play, we're going to see callbacks to Outlaw, Yar's Revenge, with the apostrophe after the S, which is that's how it's, and Breakout, Combat, Circus Atari. Oh my God! How often did you play at Circus Atari?
I loved it.
I did too.
It's insane.
It was, and I don't know why such a silly game, but now I kind of want to play it tonight. So maybe I'll dig that out. Warlords. An adventure, all presented in an updated pixelated style instead of the 2600's 4-bit graphics. Isn't that
an
8-bit
4-bit
system?
I don't know.
I think it's 8-bit.
Yeah.
But it's 8-bit with very low resolution.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can Google that while I finish this. So the mini games are a blend of the classic titles, characters, and gameplay. For example, using a Pong paddle to fight off the bugs in Centipede, which actually isn't a big stretch, but that would be kind of fun. So there's even a story wrapping around all of it. You are the caretaker of the Atari Vault, the storehouse of classic Atari games. And one night, a dead pixel appears, and soon enough, all heck breaks loose.
Oh, no!
All heck. Oh, man.
This article was written for children, I think.
It's kind of weird. Like, after, being a company since 1972... Why do you care if you say heck? I mean,
it's a press release. You want it to go everywhere.
I suppose, but like, I don't know. Does my 5-year-old care about a 2600?
I'll ask. Hold on. Hey!
You have a 5-year-old?
He's not awake.
What are you doing?
What?
He's not awake. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, should we play the trailer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. This is the trailer for this new game for Windows PC, right?
Yeah, Steam, I think, is what it plays to.
Steam. We like Steam. Steam.
Feels good on my face.
Steam.
Steam.
Okay, so if I didn't close the window, let's get this thing on the road. Oh, can someone help me with my board here? Okay, here we go.
I'm watching.
Tell me if it shows up, because I just turned on the TV.
I'm over there.
All right, here we go.
All right. You'll know in 8 seconds.
I think it's working. Looks a little like videos I make. Okay.
That's pretty wild.
First impression?
Yeah.
I actually like it.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't believe it.
It actually looks like it could be cool. Which is weird to say after so many failed attempts by Atari to do anything cool with that brand over the past 2 decades.
Yeah.
I mean, the Flashback was okay, but when you come out with a Flashback 2 that's basically the same as the Flashback 1 with an extra game, and then you make a Flashback 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and I mean, who's buying them at that point?
I guess the guy that's like, damn, I missed the Flashback 1, 2, 3, and 4, but thank God the 5 came out. Yeah, I'm in.
But now I need to buy the 1 because there's one game on there that's not on the 5.
Now I can play Combat 2. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh. You know, not that we're jaded or anything.
No.
No.
Well. So I think that's going to be it for me tonight for news because we got some stuff to get to before. We have 15 minutes, so let's get to the gadgets. All right? All right.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I like this part of the show.
I always felt that the true stars at Atari was engineering.
Oh, you're an inventor.
Yes, I am.
What have you invented?
A lot of things.
Like?
Like a lot of things. Like things that you've heard of.
Like?
Well, things that you will have heard of, okay? Patents are pending.
Arcade gadgets with Brian McCloud.
Welcome to the gadget segment. Sorry for the little interruption there. I am on call tonight. Very quickly, what are you working on? I did pick up an Atari Star Wars board. I figured that was pertinent. Back in Minneapolis, even though I'm in Appleton, Susan grabbed it for me for $100 today.
Woohoo. Nice. What board?
Including an XY deflection ampliphone board, an Atari vector board stack.
Yeah. Slick. This is another reason to me, to hate Brian.
It was on Craigslist for like 10 hours. I'm surprised it wasn't jumped on. Anyhow, Jersey Jack has announced their new game. It is going to be Toy Story 4. It is the next game. It will come in 2 limited editions, the expensive and ridiculously expensive versions. I believe they're $12,000 and $14,000 now for these 2 versions. It's based on Disney's Toy Story 4. My understanding, which is actually interesting, is that when you license from Disney, you cannot license Toy Story 1, 2, or 3. You have to license the latest movie. And so that's why it's Toy Story 4, even though, people, I don't know. Not my favorite movie. I thought the other ones are better. Sorry. LE is, 12, SE is 13, which means people will be popping the SE out on the market for $30,000.
Okay, so quick sidebar. Your favorite Toy Story movie out of 1 through 4?
I'm going to say 3.
3. And the reason why is because Spanish Buzz Lightyear.
Mine's because I think there's a scene where it almost looks like they're all going to die and burn to death. That's the best part.
Okay. That's so unusual for you, Mark.
Well, so this game was designed by veteran Bally Williams designer Pat Lawler, whose characteristic elements show up in Toy Story 4 game, like the jump ramp that resembles No Good Gophers, slam ramp feature, and the classic upper right flipper ramp shot seen in many of the classics like Addams Family and Funhouse. Huh. So it is a nice, very complex set of game rules. If you hadn't had a chance to pick it out or check it out, you should. There's multiple multi-balls. There's like 7 of them. 7 pathways.
Multi-ball.
Oh, so many balls.
Balls.
Many balls. Many balls.
I like balls.
What? And actually, they're saying here the collector's edition is 15. Yeah, 15K. So
$15,000
for that amount. I would like to see the toys alive.
I would like to put a down payment on a Ford Lightning.
Well, this is crazy pricing. Although pinball has gone out of control, I just sold. I just sold that Addams Family for $12,500.
Nice work.
Oh, wow!
Nice work. And that was not a new one.
It was a reworked one by
someone who's really good at it.
It was done really. It was kind of the nicest parts from 2 machines, and he built a whole new machine. And like, I don't know why I even bothered getting one to do it. Anyhow, pinball prices have gone out of control, and I'm sure the collector's edition on these will be bought at $15,000, and people will be reselling them for $20,000 to $30,000.
Wow. Sweet.
So, but that is coming out, I believe, this fall. There'll be 1,000 collector's edition, so jump quick, pull the $15,000 out, slap it down, and get your game, or 5,000 limited editions.
Bank it.
Or for the same price as one collector's edition, you could buy 3 ice cold beers. Thank you very much. That's the end of the game.
Oh, I hope I get a discount.
Nice.
Co-host discount.
Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Back to the cave with Time Runner.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Speaking about gravitational pull, whatever, Doc. So, hey, a sealed VHS tape of the hit 1980s movie Back to the Future sold for $75,000.
Okay,
this week.
Why?
So, the auction was held by Texas-based Heritage Auctions, just down the street. They had 260 sealed VHS tapes. Most were first edition copies from the 70s and 80s. The price tag meant the tape was probably the most expensive sold. This copy of Back to the Future was previously owned by actor Tom Wilson, who portrayed Biff Tannen in the movie series. It included a signed note from Wilson that said, "This is a VHS tape of the first release of Back to the Future, sent to me by the studio at the time. Since I knew that the VHS platform would be around forever, I saved it for later, and now I can't find my VCR. Oh well, enjoy."
That is hilarious.
Right.
I love that story.
Dude, I love that he made $75K. I'm sure that there was a little bit of, somebody took some off the top, but it's pretty awesome. I've seen his comedy show. Very good, by the way.
I love that actor. He's been in a ton of stuff. He was in the new DC TV show as somebody's dad.
Yep. I remember he was like the cop, the cop boss, and the other guys, and there's a whole bunch of other little movies.
He just does a good job whatever he's in.
Yes, very good character actor.
Yeah.
So this is to the next question where I ask.
Are you talking already? Fine.
What's in the Juke?
Yes. All right. Yeah. Season 6 edition of What's in the Juke. It's the game within a game within a podcast. Today we feature super short, isolated audio tracks from 1981. If you can guess the title of the song, you will get...
Syphilis?
Half point.
Yes. If you guess the name of the group, you will also get...
Gonorrhea?
Oh, you will. It stings.
Half point.
Both. And then you get...
Full point.
Well, Brian will be your scorekeeper. If you don't know either,
Good.
please find out.
I learned it by watching you.
Oh, no. We have 10 clips. Good luck.
Wait. I have a funny story for you.
Let me uncompress them. No.
Well,
dude, there's so much Laffy Taffy that Jason Kopp sent inside of this. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, why did he do that? Why did he send you all that?
I don't know. Maybe I'm special or special ed. I'm not sure.
Special ed.
I got a payday out of it.
I got a payday.
Hey,
Hey, Do we have a voicemail? Because we
do. Yeah, we do.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
So I need to be quick about it.
Yes, be efficient. I mean, we can always save it, but you never know.
What did you say?
We can always save it, but you never know.
All right, so we have how many tracks tonight?
10.
Are they good tracks?
Amazing. You will laugh and giggle. I purposely make all of them so that Adam will be tickled.
That is a challenge. Sometimes I'm in a foul mood. Okay.
I can 6 out of 10 times I think we're going to get you tonight.
All right, here we go.
Now everybody!
That's like one of my favorite songs ever. I just have to say. I love that. I'm going to play it again.
Now everybody!
This guy could... Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't he make more albums?
I don't know.
He's still alive.
I feel like he was on MTV and did a bunch of, like hosting.
Zero. And
I-
Big Bad Brad.
Nice.
And we do have to say... Okay, what is the track for that?
That's Billy
Track was
Squire.
Stroke and by Billy Squire.
That's right.
Right. So, you guys do know that that's related to our hobby.
Is it the stroke?
Yeah.
How? Because we were by ourselves and no girls would talk to us. What are you trying to say?
Billy Mitchell, video game player of the century. Billy Mitchell, video game player of the century. Billy Mitchell, video game player of the century. 256 boards over many, many hours, never dying once, never missing a point. They had all kinds of people. Oh, you can't do it.
We got to get this
no
guy
one's ever
back
done
on.
that. There's no way you can do that. Bet you can't.
Billy Mitchell post-COVID on here, pronto.
Yeah. So anyway, it's awesome.
Great job, guys.
Good job. I mean, it's great.
Left.
Oh, here comes your next track.
Once in your life, you find her.
That made me. Oh, so.
I love that song. Made me teary-eyed listening to it, dude.
Yeah. So he has basically 2 hits off his first album, and then this song, and I was supposed to see him in 2019. Was it 2019? 2020.
Renewing with Criss Cross.
Nice.
Damn.
So it is an Arthur theme. It is Criss Cross. So it's a half point for some people. Point. And Christopher Cross got COVID, and he got it in one of the worst ways possible. He lost feeling in his limbs. He was like near death. It was before vaccinations. It was awful. And I thought, and I was supposed to see him, and he canceled his tour. And then when he decided to resume it, he had to cancel again. So I still haven't seen him.
Dang it.
But he was doing an anniversary tour of that album, which I believe came out in 1980, entitled Christopher Cross. Here is your next track.
Break your mama's back.
Okay, that's a good vocal.
Break your mama's back.
Okay, not bad.
It is Devo. It is Whip It. That's a full point.
Full point.
I love that.
Renewing.
Take that.
I learned it by watching you.
Okay,
no.
Here comes your next track.
Caught on a one-way street.
Oh, that guy's voice. Ugh. If only he would have signed my marquee.
What, did you see him? He's like, no thanks, bro.
Yeah, he's like, sorry.
I don't do that.
No. Yeah.
Renewing got Journey.
Oh,
Mr. Peabody with Who's Crying Now.
Sweet.
Nice.
Caught on a one-way street.
One-way street. I like imitating the vocals. That's pretty.
It is good.
All right. Half points.
Half point.
Go around and some more points. Okay, here comes your next track.
Never looking back again.
Never looking back again. That's as good as I could do.
It's pretty nice.
Full point.
For Adam.
Oh, what? No.
Mr. Peabody, America, and Papa Killjoy
I'm
with
sorry,
Neil.
Papa Killjoy. Neil is not correct. Neil Well, what is it? Neil Young?
It's only a quarter of a point.
Yeah, it's like an eighth of a point. So Neil Diamond is correct.
Jabberugger.
You're coming to
Mr. Peabody
America.
got the name of the song.
Right.
And Jabberugga got Neil Diamond.
The next show, I'm going to karaoke all of them. That's going to be awesome.
Okay, done.
We're coming to America. Oh.
I have the music only track of all of these.
Oh, awesome! What's the? We'll get flag for that though, for sure. We'd get flag.
Yeah. This is the best.
What is the film with the American Pie guy with Neil Diamond?
Oh, I don't. The American Pie guy, the dad that's in it.
No, American Pie guy, the guy with the pie.
I don't know. I thought that this was in the movie Mahogany or something like that.
No, but there's like a movie with Neil Diamond is in the end of it.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I give up.
It's called Next Track.
Next Track.
But, Jason Briggs, Saving Silverman. I'm going to give Killjoy a half point for that.
Half point.
He gets a half point for that.
Hey, welcome, Jeff.
Hey, how you guys?
We're doing a little thing where we've got 5 songs left. We play an isolated vocal track from an 1981 song, and our listeners try to guess what it is. We've got about 3 minutes left.
All right.
We're almost done.
Go for it.
Okay. All right. So here's the next track.
Tell, I'd be so thrilled to see.
Well, this is a tough one.
It is,
because
that's why that sample's a little bit longer.
It's not one of her.
It's from a movie, but it is a duet, and I had to pick who.
Mr. Peabody got Suddenly.
Nice.
Waiting for the artist.
Half point.
She's from Down Under. That's our tip.
Olivia Newton-John, he gets a full point for that.
Full point.
Nice work.
I could just see him. He's like, "What is her name?" He just had a brain fart. Here comes your next track.
Machine guns ready to go.
Oh, I love that.
Machine guns ready to go.
Machine guns ready to go. Queen, Grinwing.
Half point.
Nice. There's some good fighting tonight here.
Grinwing with the full. Another one bites the dust.
Nice.
That's right.
Full point.
Full point. Smack. All right. Here comes your next track.
You can see so much in me, so much in me that's new.
But I love the phone ring at the end. That's good.
What?
So there was a notification at the end. Did you hear it?
Oh,
I heard it.
It's probably from me.
Oh. This fantastic Bond film. And For Your Eyes Only is correct. With a half
Mr.
point.
Peabody with half point and Grinwing with half point.
Nice half point for both of those guys. Smack.
Sheena Easton.
I learned it by watching you.
Okay, here comes your next track.
Is it any wonder I'm not crazy?
Okay, that's a good one too. Have you ever
Now,
seen
I
this
feel like
band
this might
live?
be a deeper cut.
No, it's one of their biggest hits.
Oh, great.
Ducks.
Stux is close
I
enough.
get what you're saying. Oh,
Grinwing, he pulled it through.
Yes.
Too much time on my hands by Mr. Peabody.
Amazing.
Half point for
Another
both
half
those
point.
guys. Okay, where are we at?
Last and final song. Grinwing is in the lead with 4. Mr. Peabody in second place with 3. And Big Brad, who hasn't scored in a while, still has third place with 1.
Hey, did you give Papa Killjoy a quarter point or half point?
No.
Oh, he needs
I'm
a half
not
point.
listening.
Right.
I'm kidding. Yes. You
Okay.
could look at the sheet. It's right there.
I could look at the sheet, but I'm working the board. Okay.
We'll work it.
Here you go. Last track.
She wants him so badly.
That's a good one. I like that. She wants him so
Yes, Jabberoo,
badly.
you were in 4th place, tied with Give Zero and Papa Killjoy.
There's the
Grinwing with a
police.
half point on the Police.
Half point.
Not Sting.
And Grinwing gets the full thing. Don't stand so close to me, E.
Full
Cummings
point.
style.
Nice.
Right.
Good job, everybody.
Final point tally is Grinwing with 5, Mr. Peabody with 3, Big Bad Brad pulling up third place with 1 point and a 3-way tie for fourth, so we don't get anybody complaining, between Give Zero, Jabaruga, and Papa Killjoy.
Well done. All right, everybody.
Nice work.
I hear we have a voicemail that mentions that he worked with Jeff Bell.
Oh. I'm gonna have to call.
Who's that?
I'm not sure. We haven't listened to it.
We're gonna call up his voicemail. We do have a regular caller.
We do. He gets around apparently.
Yeah.
And he's a little delusional.
He's a little crazy. But we like him. He's part of our crowd. Right, guys?
He's part of the posse, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Although we've never had him on the show, but whatever.
Although it might be interesting, Mark. I think we should do that.
Thank you for calling 612-548-GAME. This is Arcade Radio. Please leave your message after the tone.
Do you hear anything? I don't hear anything.
Not yet.
That's weird. I don't hear anything.
Is it dead?
Let's try that again.
Thank you for calling 612-548-GAME. This is Arcade Radio. Please leave your message after the tone.
Yeah, it's interesting. The link to the voicemail is a link to a bunch of tracks. So
no!
Don't know what's happening there.
Well, then we can come back later. I don't know what to say.
That's just sad. Okay, wasn't me this time, so that's okay. How about we get to the interview part of the show?
Well, hold on. Try this link.
Where is it?
Here.
Is it in Skype? Is it?
That's it. It's on the show note page.
Did you redo it?
Yes, I did. Somebody may have been pasting and copying too quickly earlier.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, let's try this again. Well, we have to get the cue right, so when I edit the show, we can just make this.
We never edit the show. I think we should just put it out like this.
We do?
We should just do this.
Yeah, okay. It'd be funny. It'd be funnier.
I agree.
Thank you for calling 612-548-GAME. This is Arcade Radio. Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey everybody, it's your buddy, Bob Zarzadek, control panel expert and technician. Hey guys, it's been a crazy week as usual. My girlfriend Yara and I decided to rent an Airbnb and take some time off. The roads were super treacherous, and I think I saw like 3 different rock slides along the way. But it has this great location. It's a national park along the river. The park's name is Yellowstone, but you know what? I looked everywhere. I did not see any Yellowstones. I'm really getting used to disappointment, needless to say. Hey, so there was some excitement right outside the house, actually. The other day, we learned that not only was this an Airbnb, but also a houseboat. Only, I have to admit, I couldn't find the rudder or the motor or really anything related to that part. So, I'm still looking. Right now, I think we're somewhere in Kansas. It's kind of hard to tell. All we've seen is corn. And every time we go under a bridge, there's people yelling at us. It's a good time. Hey, I'm going to let you guys go start your interview with Super Atari employee Jeff Bell. I used to work at Atari, too, back in the day, but, he was mostly installing hot tubs and special cameras. Good times again, yeah. Hey, you guys have a great show. There's the dick out.
Hot tubs and special cameras. What does that mean?
I don't know.
It's a special camera. I don't get it.
A special
I hope you guys didn't pay him.
No. Oh, nobody gets paid on this show. Okay.
Oh, yeah. We do not make money.
All right, let's welcome Mr. Jeff Bell to the show.
Jeff. All right.
Hi, folks.
It's good to have you here.
All right. Good to be here.
So our listeners might not know, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from Silicon Valley, California, San Jose, California.
You been there a while?
About 60 years. Yeah.
Oh, 60.
Nice.
Moved here when I was about 10. Yeah.
And some of that time was spent at a little building down the street.
Yep. 1460 Winchester Boulevard is about 3 miles from where I am right now. And that was where Atari was in 1974, where we built Pong 2, which was, Pong had a front door actually that lifted down. So you could tell when the difference between an original Pong 1 and a Pong 2 was. I think there was probably 3 versions of the cabinet, but we finished off Pong at the 1460 Winchester Boulevard location, and we started building Breakout. We were building Grand Tracks. We were building Track 10s, and it was a wonderful place to build stuff.
Now, the great thing about Jeff, about yourself, is that you don't do any of the other things that the other Atari guests we've had on have done. Now, we've had people from the home division that do programming. We've had, Owen Rubin, and we've had Ed Rotberg. We've even had Nolan Bushnell on.
All good friends.
Yeah, and then Jeff, you've been there basically since the beginning. Now, why don't you give us a little bit of the backstory of how you got hired at Atari, what your employee number was, that sort of thing. Just sort of roll into that, if you don't mind.
Well, I was when I was a kid, I used to play a game called Computer Quiz, I think something like that, at bus stations, and it was made by a company called Nutting Associates, and I loved it. It was just a trivia game, and I built my first computer off of that, and it wasn't much to it. Come fast forward, 1972, a friend of mine comes over to the house, says, "You got to see this. You got to see this." We jumped on the back of his motorcycle, drove down the road to Sunnyvale Bowl, where there was a computer space. I put the only $5 I had to my name in that game that day, and I walked out of there going, "I want to do this," but I had no idea how I ever would. I ended up getting really sick that year and ended up in the hospital for a few months, during which time my friend Derek Becker came to see me, telling me he got this great new job. Now, Derek was a guy who took the money out of cigarette machines before that, and he got a job at a company called Syzygy, collecting coins out of the machine and occasionally, bending a contact or something. He was the collector for the original Pong at Annie Cap's in Sunnyvale. And
you might want to refresh people's memory on that.
The regular route, yeah. I actually scooped coins out of that thing myself. And my other friend, Keith Lefevre, who came and got me on his bike, he was working there by then. And I went, when I got out of the hospital, I went down to the Scott Boulevard location, the garage, which was a regular office building, with a roll-up garage and one office. There I played Pong for about half hour, and then I was introduced to Nolan, and who was wearing Bermuda shorts, I think. Yeah, but might have been much. And he sits back in his chair. He goes, "What do you think?" And I said, "I love it. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen." He goes, "When can you start?" So, because at the time, all you had to do is stick out your thumb on the side of the road, and if you got picked up by somebody at Atari, you had a job. We were hiring everybody, and we couldn't get enough people. You had to be a certain kind of person who didn't necessarily expect to get paid.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I couldn't go to work at the time, so Nolan, I said, I can't go to work. My doctor will let me. And he says, well, when you can, come on in. By February of '73, again, all my friends worked there. George Flood, who was a supervisor in manufacturing and a good friend, he knew I couldn't lift a lot of weight or anything, so I did have to turn screws for a week to learn how Pongs were put together, and I had done a little QA stuff at my brother-in-law's company for a little stint, so I had a little bit of experience, and he put me on the line as the third Pong final inspector. Cool. There was Chris, Bob, and myself, and those correspond to the numbers you see on Pong monitor shelves 11, 12, and 13.
All right, so if you are at home right now, you have a Pong machine, you need to go check to see if there's a JB and a 12, and if there's a JB and a 12, you got a winner.
12. Yeah, or a 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there was a guy a couple of years ago trying to sell one on eBay for $13,000. This thing was a wreck. And because it had the way my initials are, JB, he thought it said Nolan NB for Nolan Bushel. He was selling it as personally, approved by Nolan. And I sent him a message saying, that's not the case. That's my signature. He didn't want to hear that at all. He didn't want to hear that. So, but I tried to spread the word that was not true.
Funny.
Yeah. So
you start at Atari. You're a final QA tester for Pong machines and
no, not a tester, inspector.
So you had to make sure what did you have to make sure?
We would well, I had a small screwdriver which I carried in my pocket, and we had basically cosmetic mirrors on long sticks, and so we could adjust the monitors, which were of course Panasonic, Toshiba, Brand X TVs. We bought every 12-inch TV you could find.
And they were tube TVs and solid state TVs?
Oh, yeah. Oh, solid. They were tube. Everything was tube back then.
Yeah.
And we had a little a department called TV Mod where, numerous people worked. And they would cut apart the RF section and make it so it would plug into the board. We would, at first we started stripping the antennas off the TVs, telescoping antennas, and we had a lot of those, and those went to a special extracurricular activity. And eventually we had so many of them, we quit taking them off.
What was the activity?
We put an alligator clip on the end of it, and so we could hold something that might be hot, perhaps. And we got asked to leave by the Los Gatos Police Department from the city park a lot.
That's funny.
So those early Pongs, they all had these monitors, and they had a plastic or cardboard bezel around it. It made it look very nice, actually. You couldn't tell from the front. Now I see on your Pong there, you've got that it's not sitting in there right.
No, that is actually an Apple monitor. Yeah. My Admiral monitor is sitting in the bottom. I think it's an Admiral monitor, but it's sitting in the bottom.
Oh, okay.
No, I think the Admiral actually is in this computer space here.
Okay.
But the monitor that's intended for that is in the bottom right now. Okay. It's got collapse, so I got to fix that.
You have a computer space. I love it.
Yeah.
That was my game. That was my game.
A yellow computer space right here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's been in movies.
Yeah.
I love for the very first coin-op, considered the first coin-op arcade game ever, that is probably the most beautiful design you could have debuted with.
Well, and Nolan sold that to Nutting Associates, that company that made the quiz game that I was playing back in 1964, to get the money to build Pong.
Yeah.
And a beautiful piece of work it is. And I don't know how many yellow ones there were made, but there aren't too many. And that yellow one is priceless. Well,
actually, it's $6,000. Just
I think there's one in the Smithsonian, but
that's cool.
I know there's a Pong for sure.
Yeah,
beautiful game, and I loved Computer Space. That was fantastic.
Now, what do you love about Computer Space? What is it?
It was shooting. It was flying.
Yeah.
It's basically a way to fly. And at that time, the only other opportunity for doing that, aside from actually, learning to fly, was up at Stanford University in the Tresidder Student Union. They had a game there called Space Wars, which was run on, I think it was a PDP-8, PDP-11, something like that. And they had two of them that were linked together, and those had a joystick. Otherwise, very much like Computer Space, which only had buttons, but and it was called Galaxy, I think they called it, and you could fly around with that. So I was learning to fly at the time, and my friend Keith and I would go there to get more stick time, to be able to take something and put yourself into the game, ignoring everything else around you. And to shoot, to wrap around, and to see them explode. This was 1973, 74. This is wonderful stuff. You never seen this before. And we had by then we had Star Trek in '67, and I was a Trekkie, and I love that stuff. Give me anything that even hinted of Star Trek, and I was there.
All right, quick sidebar: have you been watching Strange New Worlds?
No, I noticed just the other day there's a whole bunch of stuff that I've never seen.
Well, Strange New Worlds is my new favorite new Star Trek. There's a bunch of new Star Trek. But this
last one I saw was the first season of Picard, and I see there's a second season now, and I'm watering at the mouth.
Yeah, Picard is good. It's more dystopian. Strange New Worlds harkens back to 1966, so it is by far as close as they've gotten to the original series, while maintaining some of the, I think some of the finer aspects of like Next Gen and some of the shows that we really love. So
I'll look into that. I definitely am a Trekkie.
Totally recommend it. And I have a friend who's a casting director out in California, and she's friends with the showrunner. And so she and I have been talking a bit, but it's by far my favorite thing they've done thus far with Star Trek.
If she needs an old guy, I'm there.
I'm friends with the Picard showrunner. It's bizarre that we're friends with the friends.
Yeah. It's kind of fun.
How did that even happen?
Yeah,
I don't know. Great. You're once removed. I'm twice removed.
That's true. Okay.
So, all right. So back to Atari. You're employee 270 something.
271, and the number 2 referred to manufacturing. 1 being engineering, I believe, and 3. I think it's either maybe shipping or something.
Okay.
In the 200s we had assembly, final assembly, PC assembly. Elaine Shirley worked in PC. Holly LaMontagne, she worked there. She was Holly Dixon then, I think. So 271. So I had a 71. I was employee number 271, which means probably 71.
Yeah. So
pretty close to the top.
Yeah. And I'm gonna jump a little bit because I'm interested in. I don't want to talk about this the whole time, but you were there while Steve Jobs was there. Did Woz ever stop by? How did that all go?
Yeah, at 1460 Winchester over here, there was a hallway across, and my job was kind of like QA at large. I got to stick my nose in anything I wanted, and their office door was pretty much always open, and they had they were in the homebrew computer club at the time, so they had MSI 8080 there, and if it's $1,500, he told me, and I go, I wanted one, but I didn't know what I would do with it, and I couldn't afford it anyway. And they were pitching it to Atari, pitching the Apple to Atari at the time, and Atari said, it's not for us. And actually, it wasn't ready for prime time. It wasn't a consumer item, and it wasn't an arcade item. So there was a lot of work for the original Apple 8-bit, and they got enough money to keep going, and they started Apple. And the third founder of Apple, Ronald G. Wayne, was a very close friend of mine. And one night I was actually at Ron's house working on a project with Ron, and Ron was in the kitchen with the Steves, designing the case for the Apple II. Yeah, for the Apple II, and. Awesome. So we were maybe like this far apart. We're working on different projects, and I saw what they were working on. Ron did the original Apple logo, and he sold his share of Apple for like $850.
Oh my God!
Yeah. He was a great guy, though. Great guy, and we I last saw him at a reunion. I think about 5 years ago or something, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's getting up there.
Are you part of Ed Rotberg's golf club?
No, but I know Ed very well.
He invited us to golf with them, and I think we should take him up on it.
All right, let's all go.
There you'll run into Jess Melcher and Ed and a bunch of others, and they're all good friends. I don't golf. I don't golf. I have a bag of Atari golf balls.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
They would have a tournament, and it's a nice little green, like a soft velvet kind of material with Holtz golf balls. And I have a little box of 3, 4, 5 golf balls with the Atari logo on them. And they have never been hit. They've never been bounced. Never,
I can't imagine the amount of Atari swag that you probably have. So
I have some.
You have some.
There's a question sent in by one of the listeners
about
kind of the early days. And if any of these are, these are just some sort of set in, but they asked if you recalled any. So you mentioned computer space and everything. Do you remember any interactions with Nutting or Nutting Associates early on? Were they ever around or?
Other than, well, they were around, but after Computer Space, they fell on hard times, and because Computer Space, those nice fiberglass cabinets cost an arm and a leg, and it wasn't the bombshell that Pong was, where we had them in every 7-Eleven. They were everywhere. Computer Space was kind of a niche item, and Nutting went under. I don't know what exactly happened to them, but they ceased operating.
One of the other questions he had was just he kind of were there any employees or anyone else that was over at Engineering Exchange or interaction with Bally that you remember at the time? He was talking about Pong and Winter.
Well, Bally was basically the mob. They were the mob. And I always got the feelings that they didn't want us to be around at all. And when a few people later on in the mid to late 70s, like Owen Rubin, he went to work for Bally, and they started making what I don't know what they're making. They're making some video games. They had some knockoffs or something, and didn't pay any attention to them because I didn't really want to have anything to do with them, and I didn't know anybody who did. Especially later on when we started making pinball machines, and there was a feeling that there were some employees in engineering in Sunnyvale at the time that were actually hindering our progress.
Oh, on purpose?
Yeah. And I don't have any evidence to substantiate that, but they're out of business anyway, so who cares? Yeah, and the sad thing was it toward the end there in when Warner wanted to divest themselves of Atari, they sold Atari, and Nolan wanted to buy us back. He came by my office. I said, "Nolan, buy us back," and he says, "I'm trying to," but they ended up selling us to Midway, a Bally Midway company, WMS, and they sold us for, I think it was $25 million in paper. And they told us, you have to pay for yourself in 2 years or you're done.
Wow.
Well, who was it? They came up with a shooter. What was that shooter? Area 51.
Yes.
I think it was that paid that money back in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
And they did change our name for a time to Midway Games West. We were still Atari. We still had the topiary bushes in front of the building and everything. And we eventually went back to being Atari. But it was really sad to see us being bought by, it was basically our nemesis, Williams. Right. Williams was making crap video games, and
you didn't like Turkey Shoot? Let me tell you.
I didn't find much joy in it. But we had some darn good people doing pinball. We had Steve Ritchie doing playfield design. He's probably one of the most prolific. He works at Stern now. He's the only one still doing it.
He doesn't work at Stern anymore.
He doesn't? He left?
Is it Jersey Jack?
He's at Jersey Jack.
Yep.
Okay.
Where the money is.
Yeah, all right. And so we made a few different pinball machines. We made the Hercules game, which was
that thing is crazy.
The first pinball machine with Bombay doors.
Yeah.
and
a cue ball.
The cue ball was one of my parts. I was in components engineering, and that was a purchased part. So that was one of my parts, the cue ball. And yeah, that's what it was.
Nice. That was a huge pinball machine. And it rarely works today, but when it does, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. What we did that was unusual was I think the idea was to move into the future and have it all electronic instead of the relays and the clicking and the whirring and the wheels and all that stuff that previous pinball machines had. But in the final analysis, the playfield had switch contacts that needed bending, needed filing, they needed sanding, rollovers and bumpers that needed replaced. There wasn't a whole lot of difference, and I have a couple back glasses. I think I have an Atarian's back glass. I can't remember I think I have a few other things. Pinball, they're in storage. I don't use them much.
Well, I won't mention any of the Bally machines I have, but I am going to tell you a little bit about my love for Atari, because one of the reasons I seek out Atari guests for our show is because I have sort of a bias towards that company. And I mean, I love Williams. They made great games. Atari, I think, was consistent with making good games for a long period of time.
We had a game, 1976, called Tank 8. And the attraction panel, which it was a 25-inch GE TV and a weldment facing up. So
Nice.
you could have eight people around it. And
Track 8. I do remember that.
No, well, there was also Racetrack 8 that was part of it. The same weldment, same TV, but Tank 8 was a tank game, and you could have 8 people around there driving these little tanks around, shooting each other. What my point is, in the center of that, there was a scrolling marquee that said, "Atari makes great games."
They do make great games.
Yeah. I happen to be the proud owner of an Atari Tank 8 game.
Nice.
Oh wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, which is on permanent loan to my friend Scott up in Sacramento. He takes it to shows, and if you ever see a Tank 8 at a show like California Extreme or anything,
yes, I have played it there. It's so awesome.
That is my tank.
Yeah.
Is that Atari Scott that got all the films and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Scott and I took the place apart in 2003, finished up in 2004, and we took everything apart. We unbolted all the racks, shipped out all the servers. We did it all, and Scott and I became close friends. I still have an email address, jeff@atarigames.com. AtariGames.com. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
I don't check it too often. I gotta check. Hold on.
Yeah. What?
So I got the Minnesota Atari license plate. So
yeah.
I lucked out. It wasn't taken. I have it. I love it. I have an Atari APB. I did have a Stun Runner. I sold it. I have a Tempest. I have a Star Wars. I have a Missile Command. I have a football. I have a
Missile Command was one of my favorite games of all time. When that first came out, was it A79, 80 when it came in the office? The first time I played it, I thought, every world leader needs to play this game.
Yes.
So they need to play it. But
try to get Dave to be on the show. He wouldn't be on the show.
Yeah. I have a small collection of original Pong boards. I have one Pong board that we used in QA to test ICs. We didn't have sophisticated equipment back in the olden days. So if a shipment of ICs came in to receiving QA, we would take a sample and we'd take that chip out of the board. They were in sockets, and we'd plug a couple of these in. The game still worked. They're all good.
There you go.
Oh wow!
I have that. I have another working one that came out of a Pong that had been on I think a street corner in New York, and it shows. It's like covered with soot. Still worked.
Yeah.
And I have my favorite is a absolutely perfect Pong E. That's never been installed in a game at all, and that's safely stored away. I have a lot of others. I have original centipede boards, unstuffed, just perfect silk screens ready to go, but no parts. And a lot of stuff like that. And jumping back to the end, with Scott, we dug through everything. He didn't know what a lot of stuff was, and I did, and I needed help getting all my stuff out of there, and so we worked together. An awful lot. It was great fun.
Now, there's a huge gap. We've been talking about
huge.
Pong, and we've been talking about when you closed down Atari Games with Scott. That's pretty freaking cool. And we all know Scott because he's a legend in the community. He's helped with reproduction of artwork and a bunch of other stuff that we really appreciate. But let's can you kind of take us through after Nolan sold the company, Warner comes, you've got to start talking about some of your bosses and your and stuff like that.
When Warner came in, we they had given us, in lieu of paychecks a couple times, I think they gave us, I don't know if they didn't call it stock, as I recall, but it turned out when Warner came in, it was the first time in my life I had $5,000 in my pocket at one time, and I was jazzed. They did not show any presence. They did not put anybody in there to manage. It was just complete silent partner. And that was in Los Gatos, and we continued to grow. We outgrew the location and moved back to a different location in Santa Clara. The first location, of course, was the roller rink on Martin Ave. You have a picture of the Pongs lined up there. I sent you one with myself kneeling next to a Pong with Bob Burkhart behind me, and I think that's Chris behind him. That was the roller rink. It was actually an old roller rink, and with the floor was still in there. It would hold 200 Pongs. We moved out of there, moved to Los Gatos. Then we moved back to another building down the street that was 2 buildings separated by a parking lot. And there's where we built. That's where we merged with Key Games, which of course was, just it's the same company basically. Right. They were building Pursuit at the time. We were building Jet Fighter. We built horror games, the Shark game, with Shark. Jaws was out. We couldn't use the name Jaws, so they made this horrible game called Shark Jaws. And they
what was that cabinet made out of?
Crap. And the funny thing was, as I was an incoming QA at the time, and they bought this little 10-cent reverb unit from China or someplace, and it was it was a spring inside a little tin box.
Oh no!
And that's what made it have that gurgling sound of the water. Yeah, crazy stuff. And we built. They split up they started a new division there, and that was the pinball division. And my good friend Rod Peterson, who was in QA, we were both there together, and we were offered to go to be QA at pinball, and I wanted to stay at Atari. I mean, at Coin Up, and Rod went to be QA at pinball, which was a good move for him. And then I moved to engineering. Had started up, and corporate. What became corporate had moved to Sunnyvale, 1265 Borregas Avenue, out there by NASA Ames, Lockheed, and Moffett Field, and.
Wow.
We in December of 1976, my predecessor in component engineering suddenly quit, and my friend Ron Wayne, of course, the third founder of Apple, came over. He worked at Atari as well. He was in engineering. He came over and said, "I need somebody to fill this spot, and are you interested?" And I said, yeah. And that's when I moved from manufacturing and QA to engineering. And I was pretty darn happy. I was doing stuff that I never thought I would be doing, and I was working with these great people. And then we had that, of course, at 1265, we had the best arcade in any company you ever wanted to work for.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was great. And we had a tank 8 there, and every day at 10 o'clock, my friend Tim McCullough, who was in industrial design, we'd go down there and play tank. There's 8 people would be on it, and it was like with Pong, the Tank 8, Missile Command, Steel Talons. When I liked a video game, it usually didn't sell, but I was as good as it got on the game. Nobody could ever beat me on Pong, and everything else. That's not true anymore. But back in the day, I was the top of my game.
Nice.
We moved engineering across the street, 1272, where all the legends come from. I think that's where the hot tub was. I know.
Oh yeah.
You want to ask about that?
So there's hot tub parties?
Yeah, there was. I never saw a hot tub party.
You sure? You didn't keep trunks over in your
I worked for a living.
I love it.
So it was on the way to the cafeteria though. So I'd seen it many times. It had nice tile work.
I gotta ask you a question. This is actually from my girlfriend. She said, "Ask him what the Atari cafeteria was like."
Well, at 1272, where engineering was, it was small.
Sure.
It was pretty small, and they had a burger grill, and they make sandwiches for you. And
that's nice.
It wasn't like full meals or anything.
But that's cool.
And I think their highest cuisine they offered was the tater tot, and but the burgers were great. In fact, when we moved to Milpitas, and after the breakup, we insisted that the burger girl go with us.
Wow.
Yeah, because it made the best burgers. And in Milpitas, we had a very large cafeteria with really good kitchen staff. They would make you anything you wanted, as long as it was a burger or fries or a sandwich.
Right.
And well, they did have hot meals. They would have an entree, a regular meal each day, and they were always pretty good. And the engineering, there was one place where there was like 4 tables put together end to end. So we were all sitting there together, and we would talk and had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun every day at lunch.
So when I first started working in tech, I worked at Bell Atlantic Business Systems, which was in an old building that Control Data had occupied for a while, and we didn't have a cafeteria, but some of the most valuable information came from taking smoke breaks.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I did not smoke until I had that job, and then I started smoking. And it was great because you actually learned that was how you had your meetings. So I can imagine like cafeteria meetings being very important.
Yeah. Well, we also had smoke breaks, but they were slightly different.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the antenna.
I wasted my time. I was smoking cloves at Compaq. I feel like
oh my gosh.
Why did I do that?
I smoked cloves in the early 90s in my apartment.
Yeah. There was a lounge in the upstairs ladies' room.
Oh.
Outside of the ladies' room, there was a lounge with a couple of chairs. These were typical metal, aluminum chairs with plastic plugs in the end,
Yep.
And one day Betty Dahl came, and she says, "Come on over," and I didn't know at the time what they were actually having going on in there. And we're sitting there, and we're chatting, and she reaches down and she pulls one of these plastic plugs out of the extrusion, pulls out a little baggie, and they're just there, It was going back a little bit. There was a time back at in Los Gatos, 14601 Winchester, where they said, "Please don't smoke pot in front of the building. Go out back."
Yeah, they didn't tell you to stop. They just told you to go somewhere else. That's funny.
That could have been Santa Clara. I don't know anymore.
That is funny. I like that.
How many brain cells gone? But back to the hot tub, because I know you want to know. There were after hours things there that some are just legend, some are true. I never saw a wild party there. I think there was one I heard of one time that somebody's wife walked in and that didn't work out for them. I'm not sure about that. It never happened to me. I never got in it. Never even went for hot tubs anyway. It was on the way to the cafeteria, so.
That's funny.
There was a question from one of the listeners about PCBs, and they said that early on that Atari had purchased a kiln for doing their own PCBs. They thought, but he's wondering if
no.
And so he's wondering if you remembered where the PCBs were done.
The PCBs were actually fabricated outside. We didn't fabricate them. We stuffed them, and we have a wave solder. We had a full wave solder machine at the time, which was this huge. You imagine a long table, about 2 feet wide, with a half-inch of molten lead floating in it. And the stuff boards would go across there just the right height, and they were soldered.
Amazing.
There were a lot of boards that got thrown away.
Oh, really? It didn't make it?
So
those are really hard to desolder, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. It would coat the bottom of the board in big splotches. There was nothing you could do. It was throw it away.
My guess is, and this is just a guess, but the home division had most of their stuff made in Sunnyvale originally, but then they outsourced it to Hong Kong. So I'm guessing a lot of the boards were maybe dipped in Hong Kong.
The computer divisions, we had in Sunnyvale, we had something like 38 buildings.
Wow.
Of which I only saw a fraction.
Sure.
I had friends that worked in other buildings, and occasionally we would go over there to lend a hand at Christmas time. One year I built stunt cycles,
Nice.
The home ones. And they gave us badges. Little badges had a picture of Alfred E. Newman on it. It said, "What? Me work?"
Is that were those the badges to open the door to each building? Or
No. Our regular badges, and I'm sorry I don't have my badges with me, but I have badges going back to my very first one, which you see on my my profile picture, and I have every badge up to my last one. Those would open doors. Well, they had cards.
So were they punch card type things where there was they were magnetic or
they were magnetic, and I would keep, most of us would keep them in our wallets, and we just kind of put our butts up against next to the door. It would pop open. But then Dan Van Elderen, I think it was Dan, because he was the tallest person in the world. Suddenly all the readers were shifted up a foot, and I couldn't get my ass up there. So I had to take my wallet out of my pocket to open the door every time. A lot of people just hooked them to the back of their badges, though, and they would do that. We had different colored badges for different areas. You had red, orange, and the consumer people were across the street, and it was like 1979, and they said, if you are willing to work on a project on your own and sign for it, you can have an Atari 8-bit computer. So I signed for mine, $1,200, and which I never had to pay, of course. And that was the time when I got my first personal computer that was my own.
Very cool.
That was absolute. I was in heaven.
We had a question in the chat that asked if the Atari ST was made by Amiga.
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, me neither. No.
Atari made their own stuff, and that was when Jack Tramiel came in, right?
That was when they sold it to Jack Tramiel. He fired everybody.
Nice.
As far as I know.
Except you.
No, he had no. We had split off into Atari
Games.
That's
right, because he only did the consumer.
He only did the consumer. He had the name Atari Corp, and we had to change our name to Atari Games, and they signed an agreement to not make consumer games under the Atari name. So that's why we started Tengen.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so not a nice person in my book.
Yeah, he had a reputation.
They didn't come up with anything new. He just everything he ever that went into production was designed and everything before he came along, and everybody that might have been there, I never knew any of them, but they were not there before him, as far as I know. And he just stripped the place of everything of value.
He notoriously ended the Atari 7800 project.
Yeah.
Which was So there was a quick background. Nintendo was courting Atari. They wanted Atari to distribute Nintendo in America, and Atari was working on their own project at the time, 7800. It was about to get launched. Jack comes along. This is how I understand the story. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but Jack comes along, buys the company, and shelves the product.
Yeah.
Then Nintendo forms Nintendo of America. They stop waiting for Atari, and Jack's like, well, maybe computers are not the end all be all, and he unshelves the project a year after the Nintendo came out, and it had releases that were 4 years old by that time, which is like a decade. It might as well have been a decade, you know.
Yeah, it was sad that it had to go off that way.
Yeah.
The last product I had that we actually made was an ST. I ended up getting a Falcon, which I have still in the box, never taken out of the bag. I have it in storage.
Cool. I want to see your storage unit.
One of these days, awesome. I'm gonna plug that thing in. I have a few things. I'm trying to get them inventoried so I can move them away and.
Maybe I could be a custodian for some of them.
What?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. I have a few things.
I'll trade you my Atari license plate for.
I don't live there.
You don't want to go to Minnesota.
I'm not leaving California. You know how small the birds are there. You know?
Yeah.
Here's a funny thing. I might leave Minnesota because I'm tired of the state.
Oh yeah. Come on down. Let's go.
I've got friends in Minnesota. You know, it's a nice place. I've been there.
It's nice about 4 months out of the year.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah.
Yeah, 4 months you get spring, summer, fall in 4 months, and then everything else.
Well, here we have 2 seasons. We have rain,
right,
and for about 4 weeks, and then we have summer.
Yeah.
This valley, Silicon Valley, was known before the boom was known as the Valley of Heart's Delight, because the climate is so nice. And it's beautiful. The ground's fertile. The climate is wonderful. The ocean's right over the hill, and I truly love. This is my home. I've lived here for.
I love that. I mean, you gotta love someplace if you're there for 60 years. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. And I had seen a lot of other places as when I was a kid. You know, growing up as an Air Force brat. You know, we traveled. We moved every 18 months, whether we had to or not. You know that story.
We've heard it a few times.
Yeah. Well, it was true, and we ended up here.
Wow.
Which was in Sunnyvale, you know. Now, and my mom said we were in Massachusetts. She says we're moving to a place called Mountain View, and I was just sick with worry because. I had to ride my bicycle up a hill to get home, and I didn't want anything to do with mountains. And she says, "Don't worry, it's going to be okay."
It's a view of a mountain.
Just the view, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Now, having been in Silicon Valley for so long, and I think that the term is not as old as the companies that formed it are. The term Silicon Valley was coined, I think, sometime in the early '80s.
Yeah.
But
like you said, you know, every company was here.
Right.
Intel, AMD.
Yeah. Intel.
You name one. You know.
But Fairchild and Intel basically founded that valley.
Yeah, there is in Mountain View on Middlefield Road. There was an old nondescript office building, and I pulled into lunch there after getting my lunch at Taco Bell, and there is a plaque, a California State Historical Landmark plaque on the front of the building that says, "This is the building where Fairchild Semiconductor invented the integrated circuit."
Right.
And I haven't been by it in a long time. The building was ripe for, being torn down, and it was empty. But the plaque was still there, and it was really nice sitting in my car, eating my tacos, looking at this monument.
I love that story, and I'm going to urge our listeners, if you're interested in understanding how Silicon Valley came to be, look up Fairchild, look up Intel. They're very closely related. The guy that founded Intel worked at Fairchild, and there's some dispute over who actually invented the IC.
I'm sure, and I know many people who have worked there.
Yeah,
and
it's a fantastic story.
This is a very close valley. One thing you want to know if you ever come here is be careful who you flip off on the freeway. They may be your next boss.
Oh right. No!
Yeah,
especially if you've had 22 of them.
Yeah. I've had quite a few bosses.
All right, let's talk about your. You've had a bunch of bosses.
Yeah.
Pick a few to tell us about, and end on the boss that you worked for the longest.
Well, the two bosses I had for the longest were Rick Mayette, who unfortunately lost to cancer a few years back, and Components Engineering, and.
What did you do in Components Engineering?
I handled the purchase parts, documentation. I assigned the part numbers. I collected the documentation on them. I drew drawings of parts like monitors, screws, nuts, bolts, hinges, everything under the sun. I would prepare the documentation for it so that when the QA department needed to know what measurements were critical to check, they would have something to go by rather than just seeing if it fit in the cabinet.
Sure.
That doesn't work. And so all the purchase parts from Mad Balls, remember Mad Balls from the pop, what's the name of that? Can't remember the name. Those were mine. The basketballs in Hoop It Up. Those were mine. Got one in the garage. All those kind of parts, ICs, resistors, capacitors, all the discretes, those were mine. And I had a microwave film system that had catalogs for everything. I mean, literally everything in it. And it was a subscription. I'd get every month I'd get another load of cartridges. I'd have to take the old ones out and put the new ones in where they go. And when somebody would come and they say, I need a Zimmelfratter, I'd go, okay, let's go look up Zimmelfratters. And I had a pretty good memory at the time. So I absolutely love this position. And that's where I actually got my first, I got a Wang word processor. And I talked my boss into getting me the decision processing unit for it, which was $5,000. And they sent me to school to learn how to use it. And that's actually the first time I ever hacked on anything. I wrote a I Ching program that ran on the word processor. And that's the first thing I ever wrote. But I would race the machine trying to look up parts because I knew what we had. I knew it was out there. And every time one of these new sets of cartridges would come, I'd zip through it. And Rick Mayette was a great guy. We also did the field testing in components engineering. We had a big anechoic chamber. We had RF tests in there. But when it finally came down to it, we had to take them to our field test site about 60 miles away in a canyon where no radio signals could get in or none could get out. On an aside, back to the early days, we found that Pongs and subsequent games would interfere with the CHP, and that's where we started having to put our games in perf boxes to RF shields to keep the RF emissions down. So we did that testing there in components. We did microsections of failed components. We did UL reports. I did UL reports. UL was down at Scott Boulevard in Santa Clara, and we had to prepare reports for every game for all the transformers, everything that had to do with it, and because our games were UL approved.
Wow. Yeah. So CHP, is that California Highway Patrol?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Now they knocked on the door one day with a little request. Yeah.
Okay.
And Rick was a great guy, and his wife Yoko Takayama was Lyle Rain's secretary for a good number of years, and Rick and Yoko were good friends, and Rick sadly passed cancer, and he was a great boss. I had him for about 15 years.
That was awesome.
That was amazing at that point. He lasted longer than anybody. And the other one that lasted the longest was Randy Davis in information technology. Come around, what was it? 95, I think it was, when they were doing a reorg of the company, and we weren't going to make coin-op video games anymore. We were going to make consumer games, and so we didn't need components engineering, and so it was layoff time. Now, layoffs we were no strangers to layoffs at Atari. There was one every year.
Yeah.
Like it or not, and we had so many layoffs. Our softball team was called the Survivors. and they wore camouflage uniforms. But
the irony.
Yeah, the irony. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought, the writing was on the wall. I was called into a meeting down the hall, and I just knew that this was going to be the chopping block. And suddenly, I was told that they had decided that I would go into IT. At the time, I was very much into computers. I'd played with my Atari. I had run a BBS. I had done some wonderful things.
The BBS.
And
what was your BBS?
Yeah,
my BBS was Itsy Bitsy BBS. And we had it was the first BBS, Atari BBS with a 1 megabyte of storage.
Ooh.
Nice.
Then I was the first Atari BBS with 5 megabytes of storage, 20 megabytes of storage on Corvus drives, 10 and 20. I had
$5,000 for 20 meg.
my Atari BBS was actually 3 Atari 800s.
Yeah.
Connected together through the joystick ports.
Are you kidding me?
My friend Joe Coddington had taught me how to use. And so when a person on my BBS wanted to switch to another function, like I had a lunar lander game and stuff.
Are you kidding?
It would actually switch them over to the other computer.
That is so cool.
Nice.
That is so cool.
And I had originally it had the first night I had an 830 modem, the Atari 830 modem, and I would get up, the phone would ring at 2 a.m, and I'd run in there and stuff it in the muffs.
300 baud?
Yeah, 300 baud, and it got old real fast. So I took a telephone, took it apart, and I think it was illegal at the time.
Because it's owned by AT&T.
Bell Telephone. No relation.
Right.
I took it apart. I took a capacitor and a neon light, and so when Bell Telephone would send 80 volts down the line to ring your phone, it would light up the light off the capacitor, which would shine into a photocell, which was hooked up to a joystick port. So it would push the button, which would mean it's time to answer the phone. Then it would send a signal out through the printer port to a relay that was connected to a Volkswagen windshield wiper motor that would lift the switch hook.
No way!
Are you kidding me?
I got it in my lab. I love that motor. I took it out of my van.
That is hilarious.
So, a 6-volt Volkswagen windshield wiper motor, and that was my auto answer modem until I got a solid state Hayes 300.
Yes.
And then a 12, and then a.
I guess I cheated when I got the Hayes 300. Man, those acoustic days must have been hell.
That was great, and
my God.
And I ran that for a few years, and I still have it. And my first Atari computer, of course, that I used for that was mounted on a piece of pine. Well, mounted. It was nailed. I didn't even have screws. It was nailed to the board.
Wow.
I still have it. It still works. The keyboard's nailed to it as well, and it was quite awesome. Subsequently, I got it back in the day. Getting the circuit boards for consumer, the 800s was easy to get. The electronics. What was hard was getting the plastics.
Yes.
So I had a very good friend of mine, Bob Stahl, worked in first article inspection over at Consumer. So he had a nice collection of plastics, and one day I found a message on my BBS, and it said, "This is fantastic. Can I pay for another phone line for you?" And I said, "What I really need is another drive."
Yeah.
And he goes, I got some here, and went over his house, and we've been very good friends ever since.
Isn't that funny? Like, we had to pay so much for phone lines.
Yeah.
And like, interesting sidebar. One of the first places I lived, I had my first apartment, and then I moved to a friend's house to save some money to build up a little bit of money to buy a house. And he had a 25 pair coming into his house.
Mm.
Whoa.
And they were all US robotics modems, and they were all 14.4. And he also had a 56K ISDN directly to the house. And so this was 1995. 95.
Wow.
And so, like, I had ISDN to my bedroom in 1995, which was really cool.
Nice. So I got drafted into QA. I mean IT. And Randy Davis was a really good boss. He saw to it that because I had played with computers, and whenever I needed somebody was having a problem with the computer, and I'd stick my nose in and fix it. And for the longest time, I thought that one day Jeff Cheney, who was the VP of manufacturing, he was having a problem with his PC, and IT wasn't able to fix it, and I happened to have my BIOS settings in my wallet, and so I said, "I'll look at it for you." And I clicky, put in the right settings. His machine ran like a bat out of hell after that, and I thought that Jeff Cheney was the one who got me into IT. It turned out it was Steve Bristow who got me into IT.
Oh, interesting.
No, not Steve Bristow. What was it? Steve died. Calfee.
Oh.
Calfee. Steve Calfee. He is the one who tapped me to go into IT. He saved my Atari career and changed my life because when Randy and I we got along so well because he was an EE major, Oklahoma University, great guy, and sort of kind of guerrilla IT, very much security conscious person, very much to this day, and I was not, but we would play good cop, bad cop. So I would be at somebody's desk working on their stuff, and I'd say, Randy's not going to like this, and or I'll have to check with Randy and see if we could do this stuff. And so we always got our way. We always got our way. We didn't let people mess with their PCs back then. They couldn't rebuild them or anything like that.
Right.
And when we shut down the company, and Randy had left, he went to, he got himself a job in Sunnyvale, working in this small little startup in the old train station. So after I left in 2004, I spent a month trying to figure out what I was going to do. I had a great severance package. I didn't have to go to work, and
wow.
Turns out Randy was looking for somebody to build servers at his new company, and so I went to work for Randy again at another company. So that time kept going that he was my boss, and we became good friends. And that company was a company called Conversigent at the time, and they had developed the first bots that you could log into on a website and chat. And we had Comcast was our customers, a litany of companies that you've heard of. They would use our bots to answer their customer service stuff. Originally it was called Smarter Child, and it was just a project, and kids loved it, and they could chat with this smarter child that would learn from them. And so we were working at Conversigent and Smarter Child, and great fun. We weren't IT. We were hosting, is what they called us. So I had to build servers, and the data center was a rack in the kitchen, and I walked in there, and the founder of the company had built it, so it was atrocious, and they also had some servers in a colo not too far away, which was also an incredible mess. But the company did pretty good. Finally we found a buyer who wanted to buy the company. I think they paid $50 million, got a good price, and so again, here we're up on the chopping block, and they interviewed us all, and Randy and I, and they flew me up to Redmond, Washington for an interview, and offered me a job.
Nice.
They talked to Randy, and they offered him a contract. So 6 months later, they gave him a job too, and that company was Microsoft. So we were there together for a good number of years, and then that was the last time we worked together. So Randy was my boss for many years. We ended up playing in a band together.
Cool.
He had played saxophone in college, and I was a saxophone player, still am. And I had a baritone sax, and he had bought a really cheap Chinese baritone sax, and I let him use mine. I said, "Here, try this," and he liked that, so he bought one better. And
nice, yeah.
And he still plays. He's playing. He's moved away now, but he's still playing. And so am I. And he was a great boss. The last regular boss I ever had.
Okay, have you ever made an album?
Huh?
Have you ever made an album?
No, it's I play in local community bands.
Yeah.
This last weekend, we had a show up in San Francisco with some world-class saxophonists playing in Golden Gate Park, and it came off really well.
Can I YouTube you? Or is there some YouTube?
Yeah, look for San Jose Saxophone Choir.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you might find some stuff. I haven't. Our website, which is my responsibility, is a mess.
Judging, we're gonna judge.
We're judging.
Yeah, and judge all you want. we were whacked really bad by COVID.
Oh,
It's hard enough. It's hard enough to have a community band in the first place. They have something like that happen.
Yeah.
So we pretty much went on the call them in at the last minute model, where we would get a gig and in a public thing like Oktoberfest here in Campbell we did last year, and we'd call in friends and favors and get a show together in one day and go out there and play. But these are good players. They could read, and we did some really nice stuff. On our website, you will find some clips of we did some Queen.
Nice.
What's their big song?
See, Kansas. Carry on your
Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah, Rhapsody.
Oh,
that's the one we did. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Nice.
And that was it. And this time we had Dr. Paul Cohen from the Manhattan School of Music, Rutgers, NYU. He's the foremost saxophone historian in the world and a great guy and a wonderful player. And he brought out a couple unusual horns to play. We had soprillo, soprano, alto, tenor, bari, bass, and a compact contrabass saxophone playing in this band shell at Golden Gate Park. So it was just beautiful. I wasn't able to go myself because I got sick. So, yeah. And recovering from pneumonia here. And
yes.
And but Randy was my best boss overall, I think, because we kind of meshed on that good cop bad cop level. I was his guy on the street, and he was the boss. And I put together everybody's PC. I loaded Windows on them, and every version of Windows there ever was. I wanted to work for Microsoft from day one, and and when I ended up, they slid the paper across the table to me. I didn't hesitate to sign that sucker.
Nice.
And suddenly I was making more money than I ever did in my life.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
I love it.
Yeah, and I was a hosting engineer then, and then I went on to. When they finally closed it down because of a bad night with bad Santa bot, turned out to be bad Santa. The big boss at Microsoft called at 2 a.m.
Bill Gates called you at 2 a.m?
I don't think it was Bill. I think it was somebody just a little bit lower. And I don't know. But I was told
Steve Ballmer.
I was told to shut it down.
Developers.
Clicky, and I turned that bot off, and the project was killed. And then I was moved into what was originally the Hotmail team.
Hotmail?
We became Outlook.com.
Yes.
And we worked on Windows 8, and I did spam and mail delivery, and
I like how you skipped over Windows Millennium Edition. That's great.
Emmy, what's Emmy? No.
Did you work on Wince?
Yeah. Wince, yeah. Emmy.
So I want to circle back to a question. This is a sensitive topic. Someone asked, and it's we're not really a family show, but we're not really vulgar either.
There's no children watching the show,
but there's no children watching the show.
Well, darn.
Maybe in the future.
What I wanted to one of the and I kind of like this because you and I, Jeff, you had shared a picture of a factory, which I can't show right now, but we wondered if it was in a roller rink or someplace else, and there was a gotcha machine in it.
That on analysis, the caption on that when I got it was that it was the roller rink, but I don't believe so, because the position of the windows, the position of the shipping door, and the games that were being built there on the floor, that was in Los Gatos.
Okay, so if it's in Los Gatos, the follow-up question from our listener is, did you ever have to do any sort of QA on the controls for gotcha?
Yes. And yes, I gave my last gotcha boob to Scott.
What?
It originally it had one boob and one stick. Okay, and that didn't fly, so we ended up just putting sticks on it. But there were black boobs and pink boobs.
Yep.
And because they were not used in production, I think not more than a few. We ended up having to dispose of them, and I've always been kind of a pack rat, so I ended up with a few.
A few boobs.
Yeah, a few boobs, and I gave a lot. I've given Scott a lot of my stuff. You know, Scott is a great guy.
Yeah.
I have permanently loaned my tank to him to take the shows so that people can see what great games Atari made.
Yeah.
And Tank 8 was one of my all-time favorites, and what a great game.
Wasn't one of their original slogans Atari business is fun or something
No, innovative leisure.
Innovative leisure.
Yeah, that was Kurt and Marty's book, Business is Fun. And actually on I have it here. The cover of the book, the second edition, has my badge on the cover.
Oh yes.
If you look down at the bottom left.
Kurt Vandal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, who passed. They came
peace.
out to interview me, and I didn't tell them where I worked at the time. And I gave them the directions to get there, and it was like, it was at Microsoft in Mountain View, and it was like, Kurt said it was like going to Disneyland, because you got Google was over here.
Yeah.
And they pull up to the building, and there's the sign that says Microsoft. Mm-hmm. And they actually snuck into the wrong building. Oh. Somebody let them breeze through the back door on their card, and they wandered up to the front desk there, and the guard called me and said, there's some people here to see you. So I had to go from my building over to them and escort them where they needed to be. And they interviewed for a few hours, and they're great guys. Yeah. It's too bad we lost Kurt.
Quite a historian. Quite a historian, Kurt.
Oh, yes. And Kurt. Oddly enough, my friend Bob Stahl, who had all the plastics, ended up with a mountain of stuff, and he talked Kurt into buying it from him, and Kurt was going to pay shipping. Well, he didn't realize Bob had a pallet full of stuff stacked 8 feet tall, and when it showed up at the loading dock at Kurt's place, the shipping bill was pretty steep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kurt was also a big dreamer.
Yeah.
And I gave him money, but then he passed away. So I never got the thing that he was going to build.
Oh, sad.
Too bad. But I do appreciate his work for Atari. It's pretty cool, all the stuff
their interest in a place that they never worked.
Right.
They didn't have anything to do with it whatsoever, and they were just
that's kind of like me, but I'm not not to that level.
Yeah, really driven by the sheer the wonder and beauty of the products that Atari made, all of them, from Pong all the way to the Falcon. Great stuff.
Did you have an opportunity when you were working there to could you just go to like the front lobby and buy an Atari VCS, or like?
We had a company store, and
cool.
and you could buy stuff there, and we all had the consumer Pongs, stunt cycles, video music, everything, belt buckles, T-shirts, sweaters,
little,
hats,
handheld Atari Touch Me's.
Yeah, I got one.
Cool.
Got one out in the garage, I think.
They're awesome.
That's a great game. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I worked on the original Touch Me. It was our first non-video game, which we built that in Los Gatos with the big round buttons.
Yeah.
And that was fun trying to QA that sucker.
Those buttons, it turns out they're hard to find.
They're very hard to find now. We've got a friend of ours has a really nice one.
I have some.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Does Chris still need some?
Who?
Huh?
Chris?
No, Chris has them. Actually, Paul has a Pong from Gary's.
He has a
and
touch
he's
me?
missing, I think, 1 or 2 buttons.
A touch me.
Sorry, yeah. Touch me.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say, yep.
Yeah. If you're missing a button on a Pong, it ain't Pong.
Yeah. This is true.
So. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long because you've been here for an hour and a half, and I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm always happy to talk about Atari. The early days, the middle days, the old days, the after days.
It feels like we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
But how about this? How about we wrap up for tonight, and then you got to promise to come back on the show because
absolutely
it's been an honor to talk to you.
It's been great talking to you guys.
And I love the fact that your first exposure to Atari is a Nutting and Associates trivia game.
Yeah.
Because really, that's where it began.
Yeah. 1964.
That's crazy.
At a bus station.
Nice.
That is crazy. And can I ask, you got sick. What did you get sick with?
Oh, recently?
No. You had pneumonia, but back in the day when you had to like.
I had tuberculosis.
Oh my goodness!
I ended up in the hospital for many months. I couldn't do anything. That was back in the day. There was no TVs in the room.
Yeah.
Nothing to do. It was a bad time.
Wow.
And this recent one, I had a bad reaction from my 4th COVID booster.
Oh my goodness!
My 2nd booster, and I ended up last Saturday morning with a 103-degree fever in an ambulance with lights and sirens going to the hospital. Ended up with pneumonia.
Can I ask which one it was? Because I'm on my first booster.
Yeah, it was Moderna, but it was an aberration. Take your shots. Get your shots. Yeah. It's not worth it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get another one. In fact,
I've done 4 Pfizer.
Right.
Reaction for any.
And especially when you get older. And you have a history of illness.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to do it.
I had a close call this last weekend. I had to go to a wake for a friend who passed from kidney cancer, and it was great because he arranged the whole thing. He knew he was dying, so he's like, "We're gonna have a party. It's gonna be at this place." But COVID's been going on for 3 years, so he's like, he thought, okay, let's push it 6 months down. Hopefully things will be better. We go, and two of my friends are there that I met through this guy, and they have COVID.
Yeah.
And they didn't know it. They didn't know it.
Oh my!
They didn't know it.
Oh, they didn't know it, right?
My,
and then the day after,
daughter was on her 2nd time. Her sister has it.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who was playing in the band this last weekend, he called me just the other day, said he's got it. So we just tested and it's okay. But at Atari, whenever we would have we would lose somebody, we would have we would go to the memorial service. When Steve Bristow died, it was an entire reunion.
Wow.
We took over the place, and Atari was such a family, such a close-knit family that we were having another reunion this year, a 50th reunion this year.
I love it.
And these are people that will travel miles to go to this reunion. We're friends. We're family. It's always been a family thing. We all, everybody to a man says it was the best job they ever had in their lives.
Yeah.
The greatest place to work you could ever imagine. We set the standard for laid back. We never had a casual Friday.
Right, because you were already casual.
We had casual every day.
Yeah.
From the get-go. And
we had a guest last year in September by the name of David Macias. Did you ever meet him?
Yes, David, yes.
And he's a fantastic guy. He shows up at the reunions as well. But
yes.
Also in a unique position that he wasn't exactly a developer, but more of a project lead. But still, I am fascinated by Atari. I'm fascinated by this company that shaped our childhood. I mean,
Yes.
all of us here in the three corners, besides yourself, are in our 50s or our late 40s, and we, in 1972, I was born. But you know, and 5 years later, that Atari was the most popular selling console of all time, and every game that I ever went to into the Atari is Centipede, Tempest, Star Wars, football, all those games. I remember them as a kid. I'm restoring a fire truck right now. I just finished. I love it. It's fantastic.
And you know, the baton has passed to you guys because we did our part.
Yeah.
And now it's up to you.
Well, and I'm telling you, I'm going to go look in every one of my games for your initials.
Yeah.
Or number 12.
Yeah, exactly.
And we will have you on the show again.
I'd love to.
Would you just stay with us through the outro? We got some things we got to do, and then we'd like to send you off the proper way. But chatters, thanks for sticking with us. It's been a fantastic night, and I just want to say again, Jeff, thanks for being on the show. And let's kick off what we like to call the outro with a little, I don't know, maybe some phone home. And that's the double R's. So thanks for listening to Arcade Radio tonight. It's been a great night, and we hope to see you soon.
Yeah, you should guys check out our website, RcadeRadio.com. That is RCADE Radio.com for all of our social media and swag links.
Yeah.
Phone leave comments, just like Bobby Z at 612-548-GAME. That's 4263.
Who's this Bobby Z character?
I don't know. He worked at Atari and installed hot tubs and weird cameras.
You can pick up some Arcade Radio.
There's no cameras.
You can pick up some Arcade Radio swag over at spring.com/arcaderadio, or consider supporting us on our Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/arcaderadio. So any bit helps us with the cost of running the show.
Nice. Subscribe to our Twitch channel, which we're streaming through right now, to follow us and click on that notification bell so you will know when we're streaming live. That's twitch.com/arcaderadio.
If you like what you're hearing, consider dropping a 5-star review on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you consume our podcasts.
And that's going to be for tonight's show. From the Arcade Radio team, we hope you had a blast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care and have a great night. I think we need a little dance. Oh yeah. He's got the speak and spell.